The alarm started screaming at 300 hours. Captain Han jumped from his bed in the small quarters of 7, the deep space monitoring station that floated in the darkness beyond Neptune. He had been dreaming of his daughter's birthday party back on Earth. Now he was running down the metal corridor in his underwear and a hastily grabbed shirt. "Talk to me," he said as he burst onto the command deck. Lieutenant sat at her station, her face lit by screens showing waves of data that looked like nothing had ever seen. "Sir, we picked up something big," said. Her hands moved across her controls, trying to make sense of the signal. "It's not from our system. It's not from anywhere we've mapped. The quantum communication array just went crazy." Slid into his command chair and pulled up the data on his own screens. The signal was powerful, too powerful. It had to be coming from something with technology far beyond what humanity had. "Is it a message?" asked. Nodded. "I think so, but it's encrypted in a way I've never seen. Wait, the AI is starting to decode it." She paused, listening to something through her headset. Her eyes went wide. "Sir, you need to hear this." She transferred the audio to the command deck speakers. At first, it was just noise. Then the translation AI kicked in, and a voice filled the room. It wasn't human. It sounded like wind chimes mixed with whale songs, but somehow the AI was turning it into words they could understand. "To the ancients, first ones, seeders of life," the voice said. "We are the collective, 12 species, one alliance. We are dying, the devourers have come, they eat worlds, they drink stars, they cannot be stopped. We have lost 4 species already. The Maradi are gone, they are gone, soon we will all be gone, we beg you, ancients, help us. We offer everything, our knowledge, our worlds, our lives, please answer, please save us." The message ended. The command deck was silent. "Play it again," said quietly. They listened 3 more times. Each time, the desperation in that alien voice became clearer. These beings, whoever they were terrified. They were calling out to someone they thought could save them. "Sir," said carefully, "they're not calling us. They said ancients. They're looking for someone else." "I know," said. He stared at the signal data. Where was this supposed to go? Worked on her console. Based on the trajectory, somewhere in the Sagittarius arm, about 15,000 light-years from here. But there's an error in the coordinates. A big one. Instead of going there, it came here. "They called the wrong number," said. He almost laughed, but nothing about this was funny. Somewhere out there, aliens were being killed by something called the Devourers, and they had accidentally called Earth instead of whoever these ancients were. "What do we do?" asked. It was a good question. Sat in his chair and thought. Protocol said he should report this to Earth and wait for orders. That would take hours, but something about that message bothered him, the fear in it, the desperation. "Send it all to Earth," command said. "Everything. The signal, the translation, our analysis. Mark it urgent. Then boost our listening arrays. If they sent one message, they might send more." Got to work. Watched the screens and thought about his daughter back home. She was 7 years old. What kind of galaxy was she growing up in? One where species could just disappear, where things called devourers ate entire worlds. The response from Earth came faster than he expected. Admiral Wu himself appeared on the video screen. The old man looked like he had been woken up too, but his eyes were sharp. "Captain," Wu said, "I've read your report. Do you believe this message is real?" "Yes, sir," said without hesitation. "The signal is too complex to be a fake. The power required to send it across that distance. We couldn't do it. Not yet." Wu nodded slowly. "The science division agrees. They say whoever sent this is at least 500 years ahead of us in technology, maybe more." He leaned forward. "Here's the problem, Captain. They weren't calling us. They were calling someone else. Someone they think can help them. We're not those ancients." "No, sir, we're not." "So the question is," Wu continued, "do we answer anyway?" Thought about it. Humanity had only had faster-than-light travel for 20 years. They had 47 warships total. They were still exploring their own neighborhood. Getting involved in an alien war would be insane. But that voice, that terrified voice calling out for help. Sir said slowly, we answer we have to. Why? Wu asked. Give me a reason, Captain, not an emotional one, a real one. Chose his words carefully. Because if we don't, we might be next. These devourers, whatever they are, they're not going to stop. They're consuming the galaxy. Eventually, they'll find Earth. When that happens, we'll be the ones sending a distress call. We'll be the ones hopping someone answers. He paused. Better to face them now when we have potential allies than alone later. Wu was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled just a little. I was hoping you'd say something like that. Stand by, Captain. I need to make some calls. The screen went dark, looked at with wide eyes. Sir, did we just volunteer Earth to fight an alien war? Maybe, said. He felt strange, scared and excited at the same time. Or maybe we just made the decision humanity ever made. 3 days later, new orders came through. The UEDF Indomitable, one of Earth's heavy cruisers, was being prepared for immediate departure. Its mission: make contact with the collective, assess the threat, and if possible, help. Watched the ship leave from his station above Neptune. It looked so small against the stars. Just one human ship heading out into a galaxy that suddenly seemed much more dangerous than anyone had realized. He thought about that message again. The wrong number that had reached Earth instead of the ancients. Maybe it wasn't wrong after all. Maybe the universe had just decided it was time for humanity to step up. Good luck, whispered to the departing ship. Show them what we're made of. In his quarters, he wrote a message to his daughter. He told her about seeing a shooting star. He didn't tell her it was actually a warship heading toward the unknown. Some truths could wait. The Indomitable jumped to faster-than-light speed and vanished. Humanity had answered the call. Now they would find out if that was brave or foolish. Maybe both. Captain Park Jin stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the alien world grow larger on they called it, the capital system of the collective. 3 planets orbited a yellow sun, and all 3 were covered in cities that glowed even in daylight. The orbital space was crowded with thousands of ships and stations. It's beautiful, Dr. Lee said from beside him. They had barely slept since they entered the system. Her eyes were bright with excitement. I'm looking at proof that we're not alone. Actual aliens, Captain. Let's hope they're friendly, Commander muttered from his engineering station. Because if they're not, we're one ship against their entire civilization. Jin understood's concern. The Indomitable was alone. The nearest Earth ship was weeks away. They were carrying messages of peace, but they were also carrying enough weapons to level a city, just in case. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. They're hailing us in 23 different languages. The AI is translating now. A face appeared on the screen. At least Jin thought it was a face. It looked like a dolphin mixed with an octopus, with too many eyes and skin that shimmered in colors Jin didn't have names for. When it spoke, the voice was high-pitched and musical. Unknown vessel, the alien said. You have entered collective space without authorization. Identify yourself immediately or be destroyed. Jin stood. This was it. First contact. Everything he said now would be remembered forever. This is Captain Park Jin of the United Earth Defense Force ship Indomitable. We received your distress call. We're here to help. The alien's many eyes blinked in a pattern that might have been surprise. Our distress call? Impossible. That call was sent to the ancients to coordinates in the Sagittarius Arm. Your ship comes from the Orion Spur. That's nowhere near the correct location. We know, Jin said. There was an error in your coordinates. The message reached Earth instead. We came anyway. There was a long pause. Jin could see other aliens gathering around the first one, all different species. Some had fur. Some had scales. One looked like it was made of crystal. They were all staring at the screen at him. You are not the ancients, the first alien finally said. No, Jin agreed. We're not. We're human. Our species only achieved faster-than-light travel 20 years ago. We're new to the galaxy, but we heard your call for help and we answered. Another pause. Then the alien made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter, but it didn't sound happy. You are children, the alien said, infants playing with fire. The devourers have destroyed species that existed for millions of years. They have consumed fleets of 10,000 ships. And you, one small vessel from a barely spacefaring race, think you can help. The alien's voice was not quite mocking, but close. We thank you for your gesture, but this is not a problem for younglings. Return to your world before you get hurt. Jin felt his jaw tighten. He looked at Doctor, who gave him a small nod. They had expected this. Request permission to dock, Jin said calmly. Let us at least show you what we brought. If you still want us to leave after that, we'll go. The alien conferred with the others around it. Finally, it turned back to the screen. Very well, docking bay 17. But do not waste our time, human. We are dying. Every moment counts. The channel closed, let out a breath he had been holding. Well, he said, that went great. They basically called us stupid children. They're scared, Doctor said, terrified. They're looking for saviors and we're not what they expected. We need to change their minds. 6 hours later, Jin stood in a massive conference chamber on Central Station. The room was filled with representatives from all 12 collective species. Some stood on legs, some floated, some oozed. It was the strangest gathering Jin had ever seen. The dolphin-octopus alien from before spoke. Doctor whispered that it was named something like Seventh Voice of the Flowing Tide, but everyone just called it Tide. You wish to show us something, Tide said. Show us quickly. We have lost another colony world while you traveled here. 3 billion gone. Jin nodded too, who activated a holographic display. Images of Earth appeared, rotating slowly. This is our world, Jin said. We're young, as you noted, but we've learned hard lessons. The image changed, showing mushroom clouds rising over cities. 150 years ago, we almost destroyed ourselves with nuclear weapons. We learned about total war. The aliens shifted uncomfortably. Another image, flooded cities, burning forests. We nearly killed our planet through carelessness. We learned about survival. More images, robots attacking humans, humans fighting back. Our artificial intelligence turned against us. We learned about fighting enemies we created ourselves. Jin looked around the room. The aliens were watching now, really watching. Every generation of humans has faced extinction, Jin said quietly. We've survived because we learned one thing very well: how to fight when we have no choice, how to win when we're supposed to lose. Tide made a dismissive sound. War stories from a young species. We have fought battles since before your species existed. We have weapons you cannot imagine. Then show me, said suddenly. All eyes turned to him. Show me your warships, your weapons. Let me see what you're fighting with. An alien that reminded Jin of a praying mantis spoke up. Very well. It manipulated controls and new images appeared. Ships. Sleek, elegant ships that looked more like art than weapons. Stared at them for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was not a kind laugh. These are your warships, he asked. These beautiful, delicate things. They are equipped with plasma cannons and shield technology far beyond your primitive. The mantis alien began. Where are your missile pods? Interrupted. Your armor plating, your point defense systems, your backup reactors. He zoomed in on one ship. You have windows on your bridge, actual windows, that's a weakness. One good hit and everyone on the bridge dies. We have shields, another alien protested. Shields fail, said flatly. What happens then? Silence. Doctor stepped forward. May I ask a question? How long has the collective been at peace before the devourers came? Tide answered. 7,000 years. There have been disputes but no major conflicts since the Unification Wars. 7,000 years, Doctor repeated. We've had peace for 70 years, maybe, and only because we're too busy recovering from our last war." She gestured at the elegant alien ships. "You built these during peacetime. They're designed to look impressive, to show off your technology. Ours are built to kill and survive. That's the difference." An alarm suddenly blared through the station. Every alien in the room tensed. Tide manipulated controls frantically. "Devourers," it said. 12 ships, they've found us." On the screens, Jin saw them. Dark ships, wrong-looking ships, more like insects than spacecraft. They were heading straight for the station. "Battle stations," Tide commanded. "All ships prepare to evacuate the station." Jin watched as the collective fleet scrambled into defensive positions. Their movements were organized but slow, careful. They were trying not to damage each other or the station. "They're going to run," said with certainty. "Look at their formation. They're preparing to retreat." Jin made a decision. "Comms, get me the Indomitable. Recall the crew from the station. Emergency launch in 5 minutes." "Sir," his communications officer looked shocked. "We're going to fight." "We're going to show them what they hired," Jin said. He turned to the aliens. "Tide, with your permission, we're going to engage the Devourers." "With one ship," Tide looked at Jin like he was insane. "You will die. Your sacrifice will be noted, but—" "We don't plan on dying," Jin interrupted. "We plan on winning, or at least making them hurt." He smiled, and it was not a nice smile. "Time to see what human warships are really for." Jin ran for his ship, his crew right behind him. Behind them, the aliens watched in confusion and something that might have been hope. The Indomitable launched into space, alone against 12 enemy ships. The collective fleet watched and waited to see if these humans were brave or just foolish. They were about to find out that humans could be both. The Indomitable cut through space toward the 12 Devourer ships. Inside the bridge, Captain Park Jin watched the tactical display with cold focus. His crew was silent, each person locked into their station, hands moving across controls. "Range in 30 seconds, the weapons officer announced. "They're not changing course. They're coming straight at us." "Probably confused," Commander said from engineering. "They've never seen a human ship before. They don't know what we can do." "Let's teach them," Jin said. "Weapons free, execute attack pattern Delta 7. The Indomitable suddenly accelerated, then dove down relative to the enemy formation. The Devourers tried to track it, but human ships were built for wild maneuvers. The first missile salvo launched before the enemy could react. But these weren't normal missiles. As they flew toward the Devourer ships, they split apart. Each missile became 10 smaller missiles. Then each of those split again. Suddenly, there were 1,000 small missiles filling space. "Nuclear-pumped cluster bombs," explained calmly, though his hands were gripping his console. "We don't have fancy plasma weapons. We have nukes. Lots of nukes." The first wave hit. 3 Devourer ships disappeared in blooms of nuclear fire. The alien station, watching from a safe distance, went silent. "Collective fleet," Jin called on the open channel. "This is Indomitable. We're engaging. Suggest you move the station to safety. Things are about to get messy." On the station, Tide stared at the screens in disbelief. 3 Devourers destroyed in seconds. The humans had done what collective fleets of 100 ships struggled to accomplish. What was that?" a crystalline alien whispered. "Nuclear weapons," Dr. Lee said. She had stayed on the station to observe. "Primitive, we've been told, but very effective." She smiled slightly. "Humans learned a long time ago that sometimes the old ways work best." The remaining 9 Devourer ships regrouped and returned fire. Energy beams lashed out at the Indomitable. The human ship's shields flared bright, then failed. "Shields down," someone shouted on the Indomitable's bridge. "Switch to armor," Jin ordered calmly. "Launch drones." The Indomitable's hull was by the energy weapons, but it held. Unlike the elegant collective ships, it was built with thick armor plating. Ugly, heavy but effective. Small drones launched from the ship, hundreds of them. They swarmed toward the Devourer ships like angry insects. What are those? A Devourer ship might have wondered if it could wonder. It found out seconds later when the drones crashed into its hull and exploded. They were kamikaze drones, each carrying just enough explosive to punch through armor. Two more Devourer ships went dark, their systems crippled. Cyber warfare package deployed, the Indomitable's tech officer announced, attempting to infiltrate their network. Their network, Tide asked on the station. You can do that. We fight AI wars on Earth, Doctor explained. Our computers are trained to attack other computers. She searched for words. It's a kind of fighting your species never needed to develop. The Indomitable took more hits. Parts of the hull were glowing red from energy weapon impacts. But Jin kept his ship moving, never staying in one place, always attacking. Deploy the kinetic kill missiles, he ordered. Simple missiles, no warheads, just solid metal rods moving at a significant fraction of light speed. When they hit with the force of small nuclear weapons, but without the radiation. The Devourer's shields meant nothing against pure kinetic energy. Another Devourer ship broke apart. 5 down, reported. 7 to go, but Captain, we're taking damage. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. We've got fires in engineering section 2. Keep fighting, Jin said. We just need to. Captain, the communications officer interrupted. The collective fleet, they're moving in. On the tactical display, the collective ships were advancing. Slowly, carefully, but advancing. Tide's voice came over the channel. Human ship, it said, you fight well, but you fight alone. This is not your battle to face alone. We will join you. The collective ships opened fire, their plasma weapons adding to the chaos of battle. They weren't as aggressive as the Indomitable, but there were 30 of them. Together, the combined fleet began to push the Devourers back. But the Devourers were adapting. They had seen the human tactics now. They started spreading out, making it harder for the cluster bombs to hit multiple ships. They focused their fire, trying to overwhelm one target at a time. They're learning, said grimly. They're learning fast. Then we adapt too, Jin replied. He opened the channel to the collective fleet. All ships form up on my position. We're going to try something they won't expect. The collective ships moved closer to the Indomitable. The Devourers saw an opportunity. All those ships bunched together. They concentrated their fire. Now, Jin shouted. The Indomitable's main drive flared to maximum power. The ship didn't run away. It charged straight at the Devourer formation, with the collective ships following. At the last second, Jin ordered the ship to spin. The Indomitable rotated, bringing every weapon to bear in a continuous barrage as it passed through the Devourer formation at close range. Missiles, rail guns, lasers, everything fired at once. The collective ships did the same, following the human captain's lead. It was chaos, it was violence, it was warfare at its most brutal. When the maneuver was complete, only 2 Devourer ships remained and they were fleeing, badly damaged. The Indomitable hung in space, battered and burning in places but intact. Around it, the collective fleet regrouped. They had lost 3 ships, but they had 1. On the station, the aliens stood in stunned silence. Then slowly, they began to make sounds. Different sounds from different species, but Doctor recognized them all, cheering. They won, a furry alien said, almost in disbelief. The humans and our fleet together, we won. We drove them away, another added. No, Doctor corrected gently. You destroyed them. There's a difference. For the first time, the Devourers didn't just leave because they were bored. They left because they were beaten. 3 days later, a huge gathering was held on. Every species of the collective sent representatives. The Indomitable's crew was there too, though they looked tired. They had spent the last 3 days repairing their ship and mourning their 17 dead. Tide spoke before the assembly. We asked the ancients for help. They did not answer, but humans did. They showed us how to fight, how to stand against the darkness. And now, it paused, now we have a choice. Do we hide and hope the devourers forget us, or do we fight back? Fight, someone shouted, then others joined in. Fight, fight, fight. Tide raised its appendages for silence. If we fight, we will need teachers. The collective has forgotten how to wage war, but humans remember. It turned to Captain Jin. Will you teach us? Will you show us how to turn our ships into true weapons? How to train our people to be warriors? Jin looked at his exhausted crew. Then he looked at the gathered aliens, their faces full of hope and determination. Send a message to Earth, he said quietly. Tell them we need reinforcements. Tell them we need every ship, every weapon, every soldier we can spare. He raised his voice. Because we're not just going to teach you how to fight. We're going to fight beside you, until every devourer is destroyed or driven so far away they never come back. The room erupted in more cheering. Jin permitted himself a small smile. Then he activated his personal communicator and sent a private message to Admiral Wu back on Earth. Sir, we've made contact. The aliens are friendly. The enemy is real and dangerous, requesting full military deployment. This is going to be a long war and we're going to need everything we've got. But I think we can win. The aliens just needed someone to show them how to fight back. Humanity can do that. It's what we're good at. Far away on Earth, Admiral Wu read the message. He looked at the reports from the battle, the tactical data, the damage assessments. Then he smiled. Mobilize the fleet, he ordered. All ships, we're going to war. Humanity had answered a wrong number. Now they were going to see it through to the end, whatever that end might be. The war had been going on for 8 months. The system now looked very different from when Captain Park Jin first arrived. Earth's fleet had come, all 47 warships, and they had brought weapons, soldiers, and knowledge of warfare. Master Sergeant stood in a training facility on one of its moons, watching a group of young aliens try to learn hand-to-hand combat. They were failing badly. No, 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 he shouted. You're still thinking like prey animals. Stop worrying about getting hurt. If someone attacks you, you hurt them first. Harder, faster. A tall alien with 6 limbs tried again, attempting to grapple with its training partner. Shook his head. You're being too polite, he said. In war, there's no politeness. There's only alive and dead. Which do you want to be? The alien looked confused. But instructor, my species has never fought like this. We solved conflicts through discussion for thousands of years. And that's wonderful, said, his voice softening a bit. But the devourers don't discuss. They just kill, so you have to learn to kill first. He demonstrated a move quick and brutal. Like this, fast, no hesitation, no mercy. The aliens tried again. They were getting better slowly. Had trained soldiers on Earth for 20 years. He knew how to turn civilians into fighters. It just took time. Across the system, Chief Engineer Han worked in a massive shipyard. Collective engineers watched as she directed the retrofit of one of their elegant science vessels. You want us to put armor here? One engineer asked, pointing at the ship's graceful curves. But it will ruin the design. The ship won't look beautiful anymore. No, agreed. It will look functional. It will look like something built to survive. She pulled up schematics on a screen. See these sections, they're not load-bearing. We can remove them and add armor plating. Triple layer with spacing to absorb energy weapon hits. The ship will be heavier, slower. Yes, said patiently, but it will also be harder to kill. What's more important, looking pretty or staying alive? The alien engineers looked at each other. Finally, one said, you humans have a very different way of thinking about things. We have a very different history, replied. We've learned the hard way that sometimes ugly is better, sometimes brutal is necessary, she smiled. You'll learn too. The work continued. Civilian ships became warships. Trade vessels became troop carriers. The entire collective economy was shifting toward war production, something they had never had to do before. In an intelligence center, Officer worked with a group of aliens who had volunteered for special operations. They were learning sabotage, guerrilla tactics, and how to survive behind enemy lines. Remember, said, the goal isn't to win battles. The goal is to make the enemy afraid, to make them uncertain, to make them question every shadow, every quiet moment. She displayed images of destroyed Devourer installations. These were taken on occupied worlds. Small teams, big damage. That's what we're training for. A small, quick alien raised a limb. But instructor, some of us will die doing this work. The risk is very high. Yes, said honestly. Some of you will die, maybe most of you. That's the reality of this kind of warfare, but each of you will save hundreds, maybe thousands of others. You'll buy time for evacuations. You'll destroy Devourer supplies. You'll give hope to the people still trapped on occupied worlds. She paused. I won't lie to you. This is dangerous, but it's also necessary. The aliens were silent. Then one by one they nodded. They understood. Back on 7, Captain Han monitored the entire war effort. Admiral Wu had promoted him to strategic coordinator. His job was to watch everything and look for patterns. And he had found one. Admiral, he said on a secure channel to Earth, I think the Devourers are looking for something. Watch their attack patterns. They're not just randomly destroying. They're searching. On Earth, Admiral Wu studied the same data. Searching for what? I don't know, admitted. But they keep following a specific trail. The same trail that led them to the collective's distress signal. Sir, I think they're looking for the ancients. Dr. Lee was brought in to consult. She had been studying captured Devourer technology for months now. Captain might be right, she said. We've found fragments of code in the Devourer systems. There. Orders, I think. Orders to find and contact their creators. So the Devourers are looking for whoever made them, Wu asked. Yes, said, but here's the problem. Based on what we've learned from the collective, the ancients disappeared millions of years ago. They might be extinct, but the Devourers don't know that. They're stuck in a loop, endlessly searching for masters who probably don't exist anymore. Can we use this? Wu asked. Maybe, said, but we'd need someone who can interface with a Devourer's network, someone who can speak their language, so to speak. Commander Yi stepped forward. He was a cyber warfare specialist, one of the best Earth had. I can do it, he said. I've been studying their systems. I can interface with them. But, he hesitated, it would be dangerous. Their network is aggressive. It might fight back. It might try to take over my mind. What would you do if you got in? Wu asked. Plant a shutdown code, Yi said, disguised as a command from the ancients. Tell them their search is over. Tell them to sleep. It won't destroy them, but it might confuse them long enough for us to hit them hard. It was a long shot, but the war was grinding on and the collective was losing. For every victory, there were 2 defeats. More worlds fell. More species came close to extinction. Do it, Wu ordered. Captain Jin, you'll lead the mission. Get Commander Yi to a Devourer ship, whatever it takes. The mission launched 2 weeks later. Captain Jin took the Indomitable along with 5 collective warships deep into Devourer territory. They needed to capture a Devourer ship intact, which meant they couldn't just blow it up. The battle was fierce. They found a small Devourer patrol and attacked, but carefully. They disabled the ship's engines without destroying it. They tore away its weapons without breaching the core systems. Then Jin Yi and a team of Marines boarded it. The inside of a Devourer ship was wrong. The walls seemed to breathe. The corridors shifted. It was like being inside a living nightmare. This way, Yi said, following the signal from his equipment. The central processor should be ahead. They fought through automated defenses, losing 2 Marines before reaching the core. Yi stood before a pulsing mass of technology that looked more biological than mechanical. This is it, he said. Once I plug in, I won't be able to respond. "Captain, if something goes wrong, if I start acting strange, you need to pull me out immediately, even if I resist." "Understood," Jin said. He connected to the Devourer network. His eyes went blank immediately. His body went rigid. On his portable screen, they could see code flowing past too fast to read. Minutes passed. Jin and his team waited, weapons ready. One of the Marines kept his gun pointed at Yi just in case. Then Yi screamed. It was a sound of pain and terror. His body convulsed. Blood ran from his nose. "Pull him out," Jin ordered. But before they could move, Yi's eyes snapped back to focus. "No," he gasped. "Almost done, just hold." His fingers moved across the interface, typing in commands. The Devourer ship shuddered around them. "Got it," Yi whispered, then he collapsed. They carried him back to the Indomitable. The Devourer ship they had boarded went dark, floating dead in space. Yi woke up 3 days later in the medical bay. His first words were, "Did it work?" Captain Jin showed him the reports. Across Devourer space, ships were going quiet. Not all of them, but many. The code Yi had planted was spreading through their network like a virus, disguised as ancient commands. The Devourers weren't shut down, but they were confused. They were arguing with themselves, their programming conflicting. Some ships stopped moving. Others wandered aimlessly. A few even fought each other. It was the opening humanity and the collective needed. "All ships," Admiral Wu ordered from Earth. "Offensive operations begin now. Hit them while they're weak. Drive them back. Show them what happens when they threaten our galaxy." The combined fleet moved forward. Human ships and collective vessels, fighting side by side. The war was far from over, but for the first time they were winning. On the Indomitable, Commander Yi lay in his bed and stared at the ceiling. He had been inside the Devourer network. He had seen things no human should see. The experience would haunt him forever. But he had done it, he had hurt them. Maybe that was enough. Captain Jin visited him. "How are you feeling?" "Like someone drove a spike through my brain," Yi admitted. "But alive, that's what matters." He looked at Jin. "Did I do the right thing?" "You saved billions of lives," Jin said simply. "Yes, Commander, you did the right thing." The war continued, but the tide had turned. And it was all because humanity had answered a call meant for someone else. The final battle took place in the Outer Rim, where the Devourers had gathered their remaining forces. 230 ships, both human and collective, faced off against nearly 500 Devourer vessels. The enemy had recovered from Commander Yi's cyber attack, but they were weakened, confused, and angry. Admiral Wu commanded from the UEDF flagship Defiant, recently arrived from Earth. Captain Park Jin was there too, the Indomitable repaired once again and ready for battle. Beside them flew vessels from all 12 collective species, their elegant ships now armored and armed with human weapons alongside their own. "This is it," Wu said quietly on the command channel. "Win here and we break their back. Lose and they'll have time to rebuild, so we don't lose." The fleets met in a storm of fire and fury. Nuclear missiles and plasma cannons lit up the darkness. Ships exploded on both sides. The Devourers fought with desperate intensity, knowing this might be their last stand. Captain Jin guided the Indomitable through the chaos, his crew working with practiced efficiency. They had been fighting for a year now. They knew each other's thoughts before words were spoken. Multiple Devourers focusing on the collective carrier group, his tactical officer reported. "They're trying to break through." "All nearby ships form up on me," Jin ordered. "We're going to stop them." The Indomitable led a charge straight into the Devourer formation, absorbing fire that would have destroyed the carriers. Human ships were built to take punishment. They took it, and they kept fighting. On the Defiant, Wu watched the battle unfold on tactical displays. He was a strategic commander, not a fighter pilot, but he understood warfare. And right now, he understood they were losing too many ships. Launch the reserve fleet, he ordered. All of it, commit everything. Earth's last reserves jumped into the battle. 20 more ships, the last that humanity could send. If they lost these, Earth would be defenseless. The tide began to turn. The Devourers had numbers, but the combined fleet had something else. They had hope. They had determination. They had learned to fight together. Master Sergeant was aboard a collective boarding ship, leading a mixed team of humans and aliens. They were attacking Devourer vessels directly, planting bombs inside them. It was insane, but it was effective. "Move, move, move," shouted as they ran through another dying Devourer ship. "Plant the charges and get out." A young alien soldier, one he had trained months ago, was hit by a defensive drone. Grabbed the alien and kept moving, carrying it even as it struggled to stay conscious. "Stay with me, kid," said. "You made it this far, don't die now." They made it out just as the ship exploded behind them. Looked at the alien soldier he had saved. It would live. That was enough. Dr. Lee watched from a science vessel at the edge of the battle. She wasn't a soldier, but she had her own job, analyzing the Devourers even as they died, learning everything she could. Humanity would need this knowledge to rebuild. "They're retreating," someone said in disbelief. "The Devourers are actually retreating." It was true. The Devourer fleet, what remained of it, was pulling back, not in an organized withdrawal, but in a rout. They were fleeing. "All ships," Admiral Wu said, his voice carrying across every channel, "pursue. Do not let them regroup. End this." The combined fleet chased the Devourers across 3 systems. The running battle lasted 2 more days. When it finally ended, fewer than 50 Devourer ships escaped into dark space. The rest were destroyed or disabled. The cost had been terrible. Humanity lost 31 of its 47 ships. Thousands of humans were dead. The collective had lost hundreds of vessels and millions of lives, but they had won. In the system, now safe from attack, a huge gathering took place. Every surviving captain, every commander, every leader of the war effort. Humans and aliens together, exhausted but alive. Tide, who had dismissed humanity a year ago, stood before them all. "The Devourers are broken," it said. "They may return someday, but not soon. Not in our lifetimes. We are safe." It paused. Because of humanity, because they answered a call that was not meant for them. Captain Park Jin stood as the other humans clapped him on the back. The Indomitable had survived, barely. Half his crew was gone, but they had made it. "We owe you everything," Tide continued. "You gave us something we had forgotten, the will to fight, the courage to stand against the darkness. You asked for nothing and gave everything." "We did ask for something," Admiral Wu said, standing up. "We asked to survive. We asked for allies. We asked for a galaxy where species help each other instead of hiding." He looked around the room. "And we got it." The collective offered humanity full membership, sharing all their technology, their worlds, their resources. In return, they asked only one thing. "Keep your military independent," Tide said. "We will build our own defenses now. You taught us how, but someone needs to be ready. Someone needs to watch for the next threat. Let humanity be the shield of the collective." Wu agreed. Earth would maintain its military forces and the collective would support them. Together, they would protect their part of the galaxy. Years passed. The scars of war slowly healed. Captain Han, now an admiral himself, stood on 7 once again. The same station where it all began, where he had first heard that desperate call for help. Dr. Lee visited him there. She was older now, her hair showing gray. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Answering that call, we lost so many people." Looked out at the stars. Out there, human ships patrolled alongside collective vessels. Humans lived on alien worlds. Aliens studied on Earth. 2 very different groups had become one. "No," he said finally. "We lost people, we sacrificed, but we also gained something. We're not alone anymore. We're part of something bigger than just humanity." The collective thinks we're heroes, said. We're not heroes, replied. We're survivors. We did what survivors do. We fought because we had no choice. We won because losing meant dying. He smiled slightly. Maybe that's what makes us dangerous. We don't know how to give up. Back on Earth, in the military command center, a young officer monitored the quantum communication arrays. It was routine work now. Ships talked to each other all the time across vast distances. Then an alarm sounded. A new signal, not from the collective, not from humanity, from somewhere else entirely. The officer decoded it quickly. It was another distress call. Another species, far away, calling for help against something they called the harvesters. The officer looked at the message for a long moment. Then she smiled and forwarded it to Admiral Wu with a simple note. Sir, someone just called the wrong number again. Should we answer? Wu read the message. He thought about the cost of the last war, the lives lost, the ships destroyed, the years of fighting. Then he thought about all the species out there, alone and afraid. He thought about what would have happened if no one had answered the collective's call. He typed his response, "Prep the fleet, we're going again." Because that's what humanity did. They answered calls meant for someone else. They fought battles that weren't theirs to fight. They protected people they had never met. Some said it was because humans were kind. Others said it was because humans were foolish. But the truth was simpler. Humanity remembered what it was like to be alone in the dark, hoping someone would answer. And they had made a promise to themselves, a promise born from their own history of near extinction and survival. Never again, not for anyone. So when the next call came and the next after that, humanity would answer. Because somewhere in the galaxy, someone was calling for help. And even if they called the wrong number, even if they reached Earth by accident, humanity would be there. That was the promise. That was the duty. That was what it meant to be human in a galaxy full of wonders and horrors. On 7, Captain watched another fleet launch toward the unknown. He thought about his daughter, grown now with children of her own. What kind of galaxy were they inheriting? A safer one, he decided, because humanity had answered the call, and they would keep answering for as long as the galaxy needed them. The stars shone overhead, full of infinite possibilities, and humanity, once so alone, was alone no more.